It was after a routine smear earlier this year. I'd never had any problems before, never had particularly any symptoms leading up to it, or nothing overly noticeable anyway. And then a routine smear showed abnormal cells. I then had to have a cone biopsy, and then it snowballed from there really after an MRI scan. And that was just at the local hospital. When I got diagnosed, it was the week after my cone biopsy, and I'd had an MRI scan, and I got a phone call in bed at home while I was recovering from the specialist gynaecology nurse, who asked me to come in to see the consultant later that day. I got a very sinking feeling. Consultants don't usually call you in on that day in such short notice, so I went with my sister-in-law, and it was confirmed that I had a 5 centimetre tumour on my cervix, and that I was being referred to Christie's for radiation, chemo, and internal radiation. Yeah, it was very, very hard. There's that feeling of being detached, that you're not really talking about yourself. You do get a bit of that. I remember still thinking, well, is it me? Am I talking about myself? But of course you are, and everyone around you is crying, getting upset, of course. People's reactions were very, very hard for me to deal with. I'm happy. I've always been very outspoken and quite happy to talk about things, and I encourage people to do that. I've always been like that, very upfront. So when people just sort of scuttled off and cried and got upset away from me, I found that really upsetting for me, and that really, I found that very hard to deal with. It's much easier, I think, to be open and get through it all together rather than just trying to get through it on your own, I think. Straight away I used the working and what's not working. Again, it was really helpful just to be able to put into writing, right at that very early raw stages, what I really needed and what I didn't need, and what was upsetting me more and what was making it harder for me. I'd just been diagnosed with cancer, and I was just coming to terms with it myself, and then having to almost counsel other people through that was just too hard. I just couldn't do it. So being able to use the tool was a really good way of being able to sort of get that control back for me, because I needed it, because I was just about holding it together myself. So yeah, from using the working what's not working tool, I realised that I needed to start accepting the help that was being offered. I'm fundamentally quite an independent person, but I realised that was a way of people offering the help, because they needed to do that to help their own come into terms with the diagnosis themselves, really. So using that tool really highlighted that for me, that I needed to maybe back down a little more and let people just do my ironing and help out in just little ways, but it made them feel a bit better and made them feel more useful. When I went to see the oncologist at the Christie, it really did feel like I was being diagnosed all over again. I'd heard the word cancer and been told that that's what I had at Stepping Hill, but it hit home going to the Christie and hearing it again. And also hearing everything that was going to possibly happen to my body, the reality of what was ahead and the long journey that I had ahead of me really hit home that day. So by using the hopes and fears, that seemed the best tool to really start working through those straight away. And they're the hardest tools for me, I think, to use. But if you can be really honest with yourself and really work through them, you get a really good reward back from them, I think. And it can really help you sort of really work out the next steps for the future and how you're going to deal with things a little more long-term ahead. Yeah, after using the hopes and fears, I realised that I needed to make sure I had my weekly acupuncture appointments, which are just not only wonderfully therapeutic because you get a wonderful chat to start off with, but also give your body such a real boost. It really helps me. And also keep talking with my partner Gareth and talking over all the little things, even if it's insignificant and even if you're just feeling a bit down one day, just really keep talking about everything, and it helps you to stay stronger together and I think get through the really hard days, because there are going to be many of them, and that using the hopes and fears tool really helped us sit down and work out our future and the big impact that having cervical cancer was going to have on our relationship. After going to see the oncologist at Christie, I had about a 2-week break before my treatment started. It became really clear that it was very important to get really organised and make sure everything was sorted before my treatment started. It was going to be a really long slog when we started, so it was very important to me and my family and the support I have around me and work out who I needed. So using the relationship tool really helped me to clarify that and really clear up the areas that maybe I need more help in, or maybe I've got too much in that area, and really get organised before it all started. I'm coming towards the end of my treatment now, which has been a long few months with wonderful side effects and tiredness and things. But I have found great strength in writing blogs that have been about my cancer journey. I find writing the blogs really useful as a way to, first and foremost, just make sure every woman has a smear. I've had regular smears every 3 years all my life, and since you need to, and I've been hit by this, so, and I know so many people who still don't have them, and if I can just try and make sure that people do, and the importance of it, because anything caught early can be hopefully corrected and sorted out. I'd hate anyone to go through this. I've got to 37 and I'm now infertile through cervical cancer, and I don't want that to happen to anyone really. But I feel that the tools have just given me such strength that I can communicate with everyone around me throughout this whole journey, and I know I'm going to continue to use them and dip in and out of them as and when, but hopefully I can stay cancer free now.